This is the mayor of Blacktown. Today is Friday, December 8th, and the reason I'm making this video is because of an article I just saw on Yahoo News. The article is about the rise in mass shootings. There's the article right here, a screenshot. It says, when shots are fired, what do you do? When shots are fired, what do you do? And of course, it says, I'll read the beginning of the article. It says, when the recent shootings at Los Angeles International Airport, it says, with the recent shootings at Los Angeles International Airport and a New Jersey shopping mall still fresh in people's minds, one may be wondering what it's like to live through such an experience. Yahoo News spoke with Marcus Weaver, who survived the 2012 shooting in Aurora, Colorado. The fear grips you like nothing else. But the article goes on to talk about what people should do with the rise in mass shootings. Now, the reason I'm making this article is because earlier this week, as a matter of fact, Monday of this week, I did a lecture at a church about the rise in tensions, how tensions were growing. Now, this was Monday, November 4th, a few days ago, and the meeting was over at about 8:30, and when I got home, what was on the news? Coincidentally, a news story about a mall shooting in New Jersey that occurred at the same time, 9:30 New York time, which was 8:30 Chicago time. At the same time, we were praying. And at the same time, as I had finished up my brief lecture about the rise in tensions and how there had been a rise in mass shootings, and that black people can't just continue to complain about what white people do to us, because white people are fighting white people. And I talked about the rise in mass shootings, coincidentally. So the very night, and at the literal very time that we were discussing my lecture about the rise in mass shootings, there was a shooting occurring in New Jersey. And like I said, earlier that week, there was the shooting in LA airport. And of course, that was a strange coincidence because that shooting in the airport occurred on November 1st. And that was the day after October 31st, the day after Halloween, in which the controversy in the news was white people dressing up in so-called blackface. And this, of course, is when white people paint their faces black with some kind of shoe polish or some kind of polish to mock black people. But the controversy was Trayvon Martin was the character that many white people were dressing up as. In blackface. Trayvon Martin in blackface. If you do a Google search, it should come up, in which a white man has a hoodie on, he paints his face black, and in one hand he has an Arizona iced tea, and in the other hand he has a bag of Skittles, and his sweatshirt has a blood stain in the middle of it. Now, white people obviously thought that was funny, but coincidentally, the next day, there was the airport shooting. Strange coincidence. And of course, another strange coincidence that occurred historically was when George Zimmerman got on television, Fox News. This was at the height of the Zimmerman controversy. His trial had not begun yet, but he was on Fox News with his lawyer, and he talked about God was with him and God told him to shoot Trayvon, and that he did it, with God's blessing, so to speak. The next day, very next day, and you can Google this for yourself, there was the Batman movie theater shooting. Yeah, think that's a coincidence? Well, it is a coincidence. It is a coincidence. Think about it, though. Think about it, and like I always say, God is not mocked. God is not mocked. So, the purpose of this very quick lecture is to say another coincidence is that this article right here talks about when shots are fired, what do you do? Yeah, there it is right there. Yahoo News. They're talking about the recent shootings. Yeah. And of course, there was the shooting not too long ago of the Navy Yard. And I mentioned this in my lecture because the Navy Yard shooting was a black man who shot about 20 white people. Yeah. And then about a couple of weeks after that, a black woman drove her car into the White House. And of course, a lot of the controversy that emerged out of that was whether or not the police should have shot her or not, as opposed to shooting out the tires. And it was a very good, healthy debate because many black people were talking about how white people don't get shot down like black people do. And I know I have to testify, I have seen videos like that on YouTube of police dash cams where the white people tear up the ticket in a policeman's face and drive off, and throw the ticket at the police and drive off. And there's a popular video of a white police who chases a car, and his dash cam records the entire chase, and he eventually catches up with this car. And you see the police then get out of his car, get out of his police car, walk up to the car he was chasing. His gun is not drawn. All he has is pepper spray. And he pepper sprays whoever is in the car and turns around and walks off. And as soon as he like empties the can as if that alone was enough to subdue this person or immobilize this person. And this person immediately pulls out a gun and empties the gun right there on the dash cam. So I understood. And this is why it's important to listen to black people. Because there are many people who do realize and understand the long legacy and pattern of racist double standards. My position was that person driving that car was probably considered a terrorist. But the opposing argument was that if they had been white, there would have been some special consideration. And so I understand both sides of the argument. But my lecture earlier this week talked about the rise in mass shootings, public shootings. It's no coincidence in that it's growing, it's escalating, and it's here. And sadly, it seems as if it's here to stay. And this article talks about what you should do when shots are fired. Here it is, people. Yeah. And there's a corresponding 5-minute YouTube video to talk about this growing phenomena, and it says right here there are 1,237 comments about this phenomenon. So this concludes my lecture on this. I just wanted to talk about it very quickly and say that it's part of a well-established pattern of people, quote, snapping. Yeah. And I reminded black people in this church in my lecture that everything is not racism, because white people snap on white people too. The crises we have in our community is we allow boys to rule over men, which was the theme of my lecture, or one of the topics of my lecture. that black men are the only men on earth that allow little boys to rule over him, little boys with sagging pants, and that other people, their attitude, other men, should I say, their attitude is not in my backyard. You know, maybe your backyard, but not in my backyard, not on my watch, and over my dead body, or should I say over your dead body. We don't hear people talk like that like we used to. When I was young, you used to hear people say that, over my dead body. And of course, a statement like that is just indicative, and it's a declaration of a person's willingness to die for their principles. And of course, black people are in a very confused state as to what their convictions should be, particularly when we consider gay marriage was just legalized here in Illinois, and we don't hear black people with conviction anymore and making bold declarations of their conviction. We once heard Malcolm X make that bold declaration of by any means necessary, which I've quoted in many of my speeches. But we don't hear black people making those kinds of bold declarations of standing your ground type principles. But my point is, tensions are rising, and this article serves to prove how right I was to give my lecture. And like I said, at the end of my lecture, or at the same time that we were having our discussion, there was a mass shooting in New Jersey. And of course, that was on the news, and it happened at the same time. And of course, that person, he committed suicide, and apparently he had mental issues. And like I said, there was the airport shooting. So it's a Pandora's box that's been opened. This is the mayor of Blacktown. All the strong black men, let me hear you say it again. Amen.
We declare our right on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary.